Want rich bakery-style bread without yeast or kneading? This Guinness Bread does all the work for you. I'm Gemma Stafford, a professional chef for over 20 years, and I'm going to show you how to make this hearty Guinness bread in just one bowl. We'll mix whole wheat flour, oats, and a full bottle of Guinness. Pour it into a pan and bake until dark and crusty. So let's get baking. So the beauty of this bread is that it's a quick bread, so you just mix it up by hand and it's really fast. So in this bowl I have whole wheat flour. Now in LA, what I have access to is pretty much only finely ground flour, so that's what I have here. In Ireland it's very common to find coarsely ground flour and different varieties. If you do have coarse flour, then do half coarse flour and half white flour. If you have fine whole wheat flour, then we're going to use all of that. Now into this, we're going to put quick cooking oats. Now I tested this recipe many times to get the absolute perfect loaf for you guys and for me. And I found that quick cooking oats are so much better to add into your bread because they cook out and they disappear into the bread and give it a lovely texture. If you use roll whole oats, they won't cook out and you'll see them in the bread. Whereas these quick cooking oats will actually absorb the moisture and make it really soft. Now into this, our raising agent, baking soda, like I said, quick bread, and of course some lovely salt to give us flavor, and mix those ingredients together. These probably are ingredients you have in your pantry right now. A little tip about whole wheat flour, because I don't use it a ton, I keep it in the fridge or in the freezer if you have space. It keeps it fresh. It is high in fats and those fats can go rancid if they sit around too long. So if you want to have fresh whole wheat flour, I suggest keeping it in your fridge. Now, those are our dry ingredients. Let's talk about our wet ingredients. So here I have some buttermilk. Buttermilk is a staple when making Irish breads. We use it all the time. This is what's going to react with our baking soda to give us the leavening action. And it's one of the reasons we don't use yeast. Now, doing bigger, bolder baking for 12 years now, we do know that buttermilk is kind of hard to find in some countries, and that is why I've got a recipe on biggerbolderbaking.com for it. All you have to do is mix an acid with some milk, and you've got buttermilk. Into this, we are going to add in some melted butter for a lovely addition of fat. I like to use European style butter like Plugra, and I always use salted for extra flavor. So let me tell you about the molasses. It adds lovely caramel tones to your bread, but that sweetness balances out the bitterness of the Guinness, so you really need it. Now, if you're in Europe, molasses is actually the same as treacle. If you also find that hard to find, I've got an easy recipe on my website. All you have to do is simmer down some water and brown sugar. It's so simple. And for a similar reason, I add in a little bit of granulated dark brown sugar, just to balance out that sweetness. Now here is our main ingredient, Guinness. You can also use any kind of a stout. That is totally fine. Whoops-a-daisy. I didn't anticipate that. So the reason that I do a bottle is because you need exactly 11 fluid ounces, and that's what this is. And you do want to open it just before you make your bread. If the Guinness is flat, you won't get the same lift in your bread. So make sure it's a nice fresh bottle. This will also react with the baking soda to give you that lift. I just mix those ingredients together. Now, if you like the sound of this Guinness bread, but actually don't like to use Guinness, or you want a non-alcoholic alternative, you can use a non-alcoholic beer or a stout, or you can actually mix some tonic water with some coffee granules, and that will give you a very similar kind of a flavor. So mix your wet together and then simply wet into your dry. Now with quick breads and scones, we like to mix pretty swiftly. Can you see these bubbles here? This is the baking soda reacting with the acid. So you want to just bring that bread together with a spatula quite swiftly. We don't want to over mix because that can toughen our bread. We want to do some light mixing. You can feel the bubbles underneath the spatula, like it's really a lovely batter. So you want to mix it swiftly, get all that flour hydrated, and then straight into your pan. Now, if you're unfamiliar with making quick breads like this, they are very sticky. So this is the texture your dough should be. If it's too dry, then unfortunately you'll get a dry bread. You want a nice soft dough to give you a soft, moist bread. Just level out your dough in your pan. And then I have a few extra quick cooking oats I'm going to sprinkle over the top, just to give it a nice look when it's finished baking. Lovely. Loaves like this bread are made in Ireland on a daily basis. They're quick, they're easy, they're inexpensive to make, and they're so comforting and hearty. It really is something lovely to have coming out of your oven every day. Okay, that's it. No more yapping. Into the oven. Bake your bread at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius for roughly 45 minutes. If you want to check it, stick a skewer in the middle, and if it comes out clean with no crumbs, you're good to go. My timer went off, my bread has risen, and it looks perfect. Look how beautiful this loaf is. I really love the simplicity of it, how it only takes a few ingredients, and it's a really hearty loaf of bread. When making bread, make sure you cool it completely before you slice into it. But when you do, you're going to see that lovely close crumb. The oats and the flour absorbed the buttermilk and the Guinness. So not only is it really moist, but it is full of flavor. You can simply serve it however you like, with some butter smeared on top or even beside a bowl of soup. As an Irish woman and a baker, this is my kind of comfort food when the weather gets cold. For more authentic Irish recipes, get comfy, because I've got lots more for you to check out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you back here again really soon.